To some degree, we are all in the same bucket. Is it bucket? Same ship, same sink? You get the point. Hey there, fellow citizen of the internet. My name is Moses, coming to you from this beautiful southern Portugal beach. I don't even know what it's called. So today I want to share with you the idea that I don't have this whole life thing figured out, and it's easier said than done. But for me, it took a minute before I can actually recognize that it's okay for me to not have it all figured out. To begin, I started learning how to read like in 5th grade, right? So it took me a long minute. I don't know how I passed all the other grades. And I'm gonna make a whole future video alone on the effects that learning how to read late has had on me, even to this day. So just the fact that I learned how to read so much later has been a constant reminder that, yeah, this whole life thing, I don't quite have it figured out. Continuing down on memory lane, another thing would be my high school GPA. I believe I graduated with a 2.8 GPA, which I mean, it's not terrible, technically, but it's like what, a C plus, a B minus, maybe. On top of that, I think my high school ACT was like 17. It doesn't take into account the fact that, you know, I had to change an entire country, I adapt to a new culture, learn a new language, but needless to say, 17 ACT score, yeah, not great. On top of that, college comes around, and I don't have a major. I'm like 1 year in, 2 years in, still no major, undecided, and it's like, yeah, talk about not having things figured out. One thing that I might say that I kind of sort of had it figured out in high school and middle school was the social aspect of it. As much as someone can have their social life figured out in high school, never got bullied, never did any of the bullying. Yeah, I just kind of did me, and along the way I collected several friends that a few of them I'm still friends with to this day. So on the social front, you could say that I had it kind of figured out. Anyways, not having a major in college was another reminder, to some degree, that I don't really have this thing figured out. Somehow that translated in my head that it's just me. All the other people have this thing figured out. Everyone has their major, everyone knows what they want to do after college. It's just me. I'm this kite lost in the wind. It was another reminder that I don't really have my shit together, so to speak. It was during college that I started to drive for Uber and Lyft, and then after college I moved to Los Angeles, and it was during this time that I just started having so many conversations during my drives. I started to notice that all these people from all kinds of different socioeconomic backgrounds, they all had problems. I don't mean like devastating problems alone, right? I mean like one person, for example, sorry if you're out there, was afraid of keeping his Tesla in his house, in his garage, because his son would drive it. So he would park his Tesla a couple blocks down the road so that his son does not drive it. Another person that I picked up, she was going to her 3rd job, I believe, of the day, and this is like 5-6 p.m. I believe, assuming that my memory is correct. And I just collected so many stories over time that I was like, wait a minute, there's a lot of people that don't really have this thing figured out in their own ways. There are these areas in different people's lives that it's a chaos to them, and that is a chaos that they themselves have to figure out how to manage. So this to me translated into, wait a minute, adults don't really have it all figured out. That's not what being an adult means. And I think that's when the light bulb went on in my head. Even adults don't have it all figured out. To some degree, we are all in the same bucket. Is it bucket? Same ship, same sink? You get the point. We're all trying to figure it out. I ran into the concept of comparing the me of today versus the me of yesterday, instead of comparing myself to other people. And this is super cliche to say, and it's much easier said than done, because comparing myself today versus the me yesterday is literally the only way that I can tell whether I am improving in life or not. For example, I failed a programming class in college. It was a Python class. First class I ever failed in my whole life, if I'm not mistaken. And I just, totally failed it. Fast forward now, 4 or 5 years since I've taken that class, and I'm still slowly learning how to program in Python. The me of today is a much better Python programmer than the me of yesterday, even though I can't really program yet. That's something that I don't have to compare myself with a full-time computer programmer. I can compare the me of today with the me of yesterday. It's easier for me to say this when it comes to programming. I don't apply the same concept in other things. I still try to compare myself with others when it comes to some other areas of my life. But I'm slowly trying to shift that way of thinking so that I'm constantly comparing the me of today with the me of yesterday, because that is how improvement is made. If I compare myself with someone else, there's unlimited amount of metrics that I can compare. Maybe you're the type that compares the car that you drive with the car that someone else drives. Maybe you compare the house that you have with the house that someone else has. There's like an infinite amount of things that you can compare yourself against other people. But if it's you against you, that's when you can see actual true progress. Anyways, I'm 28, almost 29, so I'm not really here to give any advice. I don't feel like I'm in a position where I can do that. But this is the thing that is working for me. So I have found 2 ways for me to improve, and that is identify a future that I don't want in relation to that particular thing. So with coding, I don't want to find myself in 5 years not knowing how to write code in Python. I've identified a future that I don't want. 2 is for me to take the smallest possible step I can towards a future that I want, which is, in this case, 5 years from now, I want to be able to write code in Python. And between now and then, I'm going to take the smallest possible steps I can in order to make that future a possibility. My name is Moses. You've been watching this on my YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.